Hi, I'm Diana DeRosa, and I'm speaking to Eugene Rocco Utley, who lives in South Carolina and is literally the everything man for this short film, A.B. So, Eugene, give our viewers an overview of this film.
Yeah, so AB was a film that came to me during like a time of self-discovery. I was figuring out my place as an artist and just also as a person during a time of self-reflection. And I was coming off of one of my bigger projects, and I was just trying to figure out where I wanted to go in direction with everything. And I wanted to just do something very ambiguous and just something or ambitious and something completely different than from what I've done before, and just kind of have a bit more of a fearless approach of how I approached filmmaking. And this was a project that just kind of came out from that.
I have to tell you, it was ambitious and really sort of, shocked me a little bit because there were so many things going through my mind. What would you like the viewers to take away from this film?
I think this is a testament to self-love and finding yourself truly. And I think just I hope everyone can find their B, I guess. All of us have a part of us that we hold back in some way or another through either fear, denial, etc. And I think this film is just about embracing that end of you that you might be afraid to be honest about.
I think it's a great idea that people do watch this film because what you're saying is so true.
Mhm.
So I want to thank you very much for joining me. Do you have any last words?
I just want to give a big thank you to the Tryon International Film Festival for everything they did. Thank you to my cast and crew who were so ambitious alongside of this and so excited and enthusiastic about this project. And we're really able to take along because there was a lot of aspects, especially with the technical ends of having to film everything twice at some point. So I really appreciate just everything that they were willing to do on their end.
And something about the mirrors too.
Yes, there was a lot of scenes where we had to figure out how to, of course, we couldn't have Skylin actually act out her mirror as a sentient being. So we had to actually film every scene twice, her acting as A and her acting as B, and cut them together through masking. So it's two different videos playing at once whenever you're seeing a lot of the mirror scenes.
Well done. And I want to thank you again for chatting with me. And I am Diana DeRosa, reporting for the Tryon International Film Festival. Hi, I'm Diana DeRosa, and I'm speaking to Catherine Lauritsen, who lives in California and was the director of the short documentary, The 24 Behaviors of the Ridden Horse in Pain, shifting the paradigm of how we see lameness. And isn't that true? So I want you to start out by giving an overview of this film.
Okay. So yeah, it's a short documentary. It's a really long title. But we wanted to put the intention and goal in the subtitle because the whole thing really is about shifting the way we look at lameness. So you can ask yourself, and you ride, I ride, our whole lives. And we know that for probably centuries, since the beginning of when somebody got on a horse up until pretty, now, you ask yourself, when's the horse lame? And most people would say when you see a head bob or a hip hike. So at that point, you're saying to yourself, well, something's going wrong. I better get the vet out. But Sue Dyson, who is a world-class researcher, top of the top, she's written textbooks, spent years and hundreds, if not thousands of horses identifying 24 behaviors that happen in the ridden horse. Now, we're not talking necessarily about groundwork, but we're talking about the ridden horse under saddle before the head bob. So unfortunately, a lot of these same behaviors are the behaviors that horses get punished for or blamed for. So ears back, tail swishing, opening the mouth, being resistant, bucking, rearing, and there's 24. So she created an ethogram, which is just a fancy word for a chart that people can actually start to learn how to see these behaviors that horses are telescoping. And not only is it maybe more fair to the horse, and I want to back up and say that once you hit 8 or more, you have a 10 times greater chance of that horse having musculoskeletal pain. At that point, get the vet out because you're saving your horse from further pain. you're saving yourself from further anguish, and you're probably saving money, time, performance. Catch it early, because if you can, it doesn't end up being that long rehab. So that's what we did. And then the origin of it was we based it on, I was working on a course for Equitopia that's a fabulous course, and it's very scholarly. So I work with Sue on it, and there's tests and stuff like that.
And Catherine, I'm going to have to, unfortunately, we can only keep this at 3 minutes, so I have to interrupt you. And but the people are going to be able to see your film. So I am Diana DeRosa, reporting for the Equus Television Network at the Tryon International Film Festival. Hi, I'm Diana DeRosa, and I'm speaking with Davy Shaw, who lives in South Carolina and is the director and editor of the short documentary Beyond Lesser Things. Really inspiring documentary. I'd love for you to give our viewers an overview of this documentary.
Yeah, hey Diana, thanks so much for having me on. Beyond Lesser Things is an intimate portrait of a surgeon named Tom Cattina, who it follows his life from growing up in this big, fun-loving Italian family in New York, and watches as he slowly, continually makes decisions to make his life harder and more difficult, and chooses paths where he gets less instead of more. And although that might seem upside down to most of our cultural scripts, as we get closer to him and watch him in this portrait, the goal of the film is to really make us question: is his life actually upside down, or is it right side up?
You got it. I mean, I think this is a lesson for all of us. And so with that in mind, what do you want people to take away from this film?
Yeah, kind of what I just mentioned of Tom is an incredibly humble guy. And of course, as a documentary filmmaker, my goal isn't to have too much of my own opinions in there. It's to create a window for people to experience this hero living out his life on the other side of the world. And I think how he would answer that question is he'd really encourage people to look at their life and see in what ways can they both simplify it and give more time and energy to helping other people. And so not just for sacrifice, but really for the idea of, at the end of the day, I think Tom believes, and I hope this film reinforces, that a life towards others is actually going to leave that individual happier and more filled.
I totally agree. And I think it's a film that so many people should watch. And if you've got something quick you want to say, and as your last words, go right ahead and do that.
No, I would just say I really appreciate being on here, and that it was a ton of fun to make. We slept on mattresses in the Nubian desert with scorpions around us for a few months, and I'm glad we made it back in one piece, and I'm glad to have this film premiering at this festival.
I am too, and I'm Diana DeRosa, reporting for the Tryon International Film Festival. Oops, where's my record button? Hi, I'm Diana DeRosa, and I'm talking to Vincent Martinez, who lives in Georgia and is the director and executive producer of the full-length documentary Pringle, A Tale of Two Makers. And Vincent, I want to applaud you. Thank you for doing this film. These women, they need to go down in history. So first of all, I'd like you to give an overview of the film.
Sure, absolutely. It's my pleasure. So Cynthia and Edwina Bringle are identical twins, and I have to point out they're 84-year-old identical twins, and the age is significant. And Tale of Two Makers is a tale of their life story. We start from when they were born, and we work all the way until now. At 84, they're not stopping. They're still working. Cynthia's a potter, Edwina's a weaver. They're both very successful. They've had exhibited throughout the world, from Japan to California. And their story is really worth telling. They're generous, they're kind, They've inspired and impacted so many lives. And like I said, at 84, they are not slowing down. They are not stopping. This is their story.
Fabulous. Well, I want you to let the audience know any kind of a takeaway that you feel they should take from this film.
You know, so the takeaway from Bringle, A Tale of Two Makers, and this is personal for me as well, it really has to do with age, living your life to the fullest, not allowing anything or anyone to stop you from living your dreams, and just working your butt off to make things happen. And again, and I keep repeating myself, but at Cynthia and Edwina's age, they are living proof, they are a testament that you can do all of it.
I agree with you. And so many lives get lost in the mix. And the fact that you've given them this extra life, I really applaud you for that. Do you have any last words you want to say very quickly?
Very quickly, okay, on a professional note, for emerging filmmakers, and I'm one, I am also an emerging filmmaker, align yourself with a professional crew. Wow, made all the difference. Professional cinematographers, editors, animators, made my life that much simpler, and it made the film that much better.
Well, thank you very much for that tip. And I agree. That's really good information to pass along. And I am Diana DeRosa, reporting for the Tryon International Film Festival. I'm at the Tryon International Film Festival, and one of the things that they're doing is podcasting. And Cookie is the subject of one of the podcasts, because filmmakers can expand their horizons by doing podcasts. So Cookie, I want you to take this away, because you were with CBS News and your story is unbelievable.
It is. The podcast that I'm the subject of is called Journalista. I was a war correspondent for CBS News for decades, covered wars all over the world. But Journalista is concentrated on in the 80s in Nicaragua, where I was based, doing all my war coverage.
Wow, that's unbelievable. But can you go through the episodes, because there are going to be 9 episodes on this podcast?
There are 9 episodes, and each episode is just telling different stories of what I was doing, what I was covering, because as I was covering the major stories of the 80s, I was also partying while doing that. And of course, I worked and lived at the hotel in Nicaragua, so the CBS office was the place to be when cocktail hour came about every day, that we weren't in the jungles covering this or that battle. So in my office, we had movie stars, rock stars, politicians, Mother Teresa, Buzz Aldrin, you name it, they were in my office.
You know, one of the things you told me that fascinated me was some of the scary things that you went through. So talk about those.
Well, before I became a journalist for CBS News, I was a model in New York City for a while. And then I married into one of the drug cartels, and my husband later became the father of my son. And so I was in that world, scary world, for a while. And then I moved on to another war, which was real war, bang bang as we called it, in Latin America and the Caribbean.
Well, if people want to know more about your story, they can watch this podcast, or it's not even about watching, it's listening, right?
We listen. Journalista is everywhere. We've had unbelievable response to it. We're on iHeartRadio, Stitcher, Spotify, Apple, Amazon, you name it, we're there. And please take the time to listen to it. Just when you think each episode can't get any better, it does. And just when you think each episode can't get any crazier, it does.
You have certainly had a crazy, crazy life.
Diana, thanks for having me today.
You're welcome. And I am Diana DeRosa with the Equus Television Network, reporting from the Tryon International Film Festival. Hi, I'm Diana DeRosa. And I'm speaking with Neil George, who lives in Dubai, yes, Dubai, and is the director of the short documentary on human rights and human dignity film, Dodomu. So, Neil, let's kick this off by you giving a quick overview of the film.
Sure. So effectively, the film is exploring the lives of three Ukrainian refugees who fled the war in Russia. We spend a little bit of time in Poland, which is where they fled to. And yeah, we just look at exactly what they've gone through, how they left because of the war. They left their families behind, or they tried to reignite, come back to meet their families in one case. And really, it's also Jung Woo-sung, who's narrating the film, is the ambassador for the UNHCR in Korea. And he was very much interested in exploring, how the Europeans effectively have been helping with the Russian and Ukrainian war.
Wow. It's really a film that I think everybody should see because it's something that is affecting all of us. So obviously there are takeaways, but what do you hope that people will take away from this film?
So, I mean, a lot of things that we can think about with refugees is when we hear it in the news, people don't really understand exactly what a refugee is. They get confused with economic migrants or, people traveling. Even some cases, they might even think that they could just be expats who are just going there for, to a normal life. I think one of the key takeaways is if we actually sit and we listen to the stories of these people who are fleeing wars, famines, even from climate crisis that are happening, we can actually start to get a really deep understanding and a more empathetic kind of viewpoint towards these people. And so I hope that, this can be a starting point for people to watch the film, to understand who these people are, and maybe then they actually would to stand up and try and act, whether that action is meeting with these people or just trying to find out, what the lives of other refugees is also like.
I can't agree with you more. This could be any one of us. And I want to thank you so much. I think everybody should watch this film. And I am Diana DeRosa reporting for the Tryon International Film Festival. I'm Diana DeRosa, and I'm speaking to Ava Bounds, who lives in Leeds, England, and was the director of the student film Dying to Meet You. Great job, Ava. I really love the film. Why did you decide to take this on?
Well, my dad actually wrote the script, so it's kind of like a collaboration there. He wrote a one-man play back in many years ago about the founder of Alcoholics Anonymous, and he really wanted to bring it to everyone around the world. So he kind of confided with me. We collaborated to kind of form it into a script, a screenplay. And then it was basically him and his kind of need to tell the story that inspired me and fueled me to make this film. But yes, then I directed it, and then now we're kind of sharing the story of Bill Wilson around the world. Yeah.
That's great. You've got to have a lot of good memories from pulling it all together and creating this film. So what are some of those memories?
Oh, what are some of those memories? I think just being with a crew of incredible people. There was I don't know how many were on that. One day there was we were in a courthouse and there was about 30 other people, and I've never worked with that many people in my life. It was quite scary. But they were amazing, and they're really good at what they do. And they made it look beautiful, they made it sound beautiful, and yeah, just kind of collaborating with all these really good filmmakers who love to make films, which is probably the highlight of it.
Well, the part I really liked the best is when at the end it said that it was actually a true story. So can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, sure. So it came, the whole life story of Bill Wilson. Of course, he made Alcoholics Anonymous, and he's helped millions of alcoholics from when he made it back about 50 odd years ago. So yeah, it's a completely true story. We tried to create keep it as accurate as possible. Just spreading the word of him, and what he did was so incredible. So yeah.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. It was a great way to portray it, for you to kind of get into a film and then to discover that this is actually how it happened. So I want to thank you very much for chatting with me. Do you have any last words you'd like to say?
I just want to say thank you for helping us kind of share the story, because I don't think many people realise that the founder of Alcoholics Anonymous was this man who was lost. He wasn't a doctor, he was just an old stockbroker. And so, yeah, thank you to Tryon for helping me share his story, his incredible story with everyone.
And I think a lot of people are going to take away and remember this story. So well done. And I'm Diana DeRosa, reporting for the Tryon International Film Festival. I'm speaking with filmmaker, producer, director, Frank M. Calo, who is the main judge at the Tryon International Film Festival and is judging the best overall project. So, Frank, what does that mean, best overall project?
Well, best overall. I mean, this is my 9th year at the Tryon International Film Festival, so I'm very excited. And this year we got so many wonderful submissions from all categories: documentaries, shorts, features, animations. And I was really impressed by a lot of the films here. And my job as the best overall, as one of the main judges, is I got to watch all the films. Most judges have a category and they just watch that certain category. I have to watch them all. And I'm telling you, they got some really good submissions. And first of all, I want to thank you, Diane, and also Kurt and Bo for having me back again.
All right. So, what are some of the things you look for when you decide, or when you're starting to view, to see which one you're going to choose?
Well, I'm a log of my years, so it's like I've been in this business a long time, and as a filmmaker myself, and I'm very active myself as a writer, director, producer in major films. I'm not looking for the best. There is no best, or right or wrong or whatever. I'm not looking for that. I'm looking for what moves me, what emotionally moves me, and what the talent I see in young voices. And when I say young, I do not mean young in age. I mean young as filmmakers. And I had one submission that a while back at another film festival that the person was 55 years old and it was her first film, and she was a psychiatrist all along before that. And she did a wonderful job. So I'm looking for something that moves me emotionally. Then I look at technically and stuff like that, but it has to move me. And I always learn from my mentor when I was young, and I'll pass this along, is always listen to the voice of the young.
I think that's a great comment. Well, I want to thank you for chatting with me. Do you have any last words you'd like to say?
I was excited to be there again, to see everybody, Sis and the persons involved with it, and Bo and Kurt and all my friends over there, that I became a part of their community. And I just want to say thank you all for having me back again. I'm looking forward to have some fun.
Well, I'm looking forward to seeing which film you choose. And I'm Diana DeRosa, reporting for the Tryon International Film Festival. Hi, I'm Diana DeRosa, and I'm speaking to the wonderful Templeton Thompson, who I love your voice. I have to say, I love your voice. And she lives in Tennessee and was the co-producer of the music video Get Back Up. All right, so first of all, let's begin with you giving an overview of the video.
Well, basically, it is the music video for the title cut of my latest album, Get Back Up. So singer-songwriters, you know how we are, us artists, if we put a single out and that was the first single, we need to follow it up with a music video. So that's basically the impetus of doing it, and getting outside and playing with my kids. 11 children, all my 4-legged babies.
All right, so let's talk about the title a little bit. What does that mean to you?
You know, it means a lot of things, sweet Diana. And I know we were kind of talking too. It's definitely a literal getting back up, literally getting back in the saddle for me, as well as it's also a metaphorical thing. You know, to be completely transparent, you know, as an independent singer-songwriter and through the pandemic, you know, I'm not the only one, I'm preaching to the choir. You know, I was struggling, and literally getting to make that video, we wanted to show kind of where I was and then where I got to be, which is back up, living, you know, and just being grateful. I'm grateful every single moment of every day, but my babies out in their pasture and all of our four-legged children, they heal me, and they literally and metaphorically help me get back up every moment of every day. So that's what it means to me. And I hope that it resonates with folks, because you don't have to be a horse person like we were talking about. You can be anyone who maybe is having some kind of a struggle. And it's just that reminder that you can do this, and that we're all in this together, and that we can all literally together. I do believe in the power of that. We can all work two and four-legged, four and two-legged alike to lift one another up. Yeah.
Well, both you and I have a passion for horses. So, get back up on that concept is a really wonderful thing, but it's so true in life in general. So I want to thank you very much for joining me today, Templeton. And like I said, people have got to listen to this music video because your voice is beyond compare. It's beautiful. And I'm Diana DeRosa, reporting for the Equus Film Festival at the Tryon International Film Festival. Hi, I'm with Glen, who's going to talk about AI and its impact on entertainment. So tell us a little bit about that.
Well, I'll tell you, so many people are afraid of what artificial intelligence can do, especially in the entertainment business. As we've seen with strikes in the past with the SAG and the Actors Guild, there is so much opportunity with AI. While jobs will go away, many more will be created. This is a time over the next 20 years when we will see drastic changes in everything that we do. Artificial intelligence will affect everything, especially the entertainment business.
I got to tell you, I think people are worried about losing jobs. And so when you actually did this seminar, what do you want them to take away? What do you want them to remember?
That's a great question, and there are a ton of jobs that are going to be available in all different areas of post-production, pre-production, actually producing films, movies, TVs, video, influencer marketing online. There are a number of jobs. You can actually go to ChatGPT and ask what next generation jobs will be affected or impacted, and by AI and what will be available. And you're going to come up with a whole list of opportunities for you to go after. You just have to upskill yourself.
Great advice. And I want to thank you very much for chatting with me. Do you have any last words?
The only thing I would say is don't be afraid of AI and learn how to write prompts. Learn how to write the statements into these AI tools like ChatGPT, like Bard, to get the right output. That's what every child should be learning right now. I teach high school and I teach college at University of Georgia. This is what I'm teaching now. So thanks so much, Diana. I really appreciate it.
You're most welcome, and great tips. And I am Diana DeRosa with the Equus Television Network, reporting from the Tryon International Film Festival. Hi, I'm Diana DeRosa, and I'm speaking with Andrew Oliver, who lives in South Carolina and is the director of the feature-length documentary. It was a lengthy documentary about how to break a world record. Well, I want to thank you for joining me, Andrew. Can you give us a quick overview of the film?
Yeah. So How to Break a World Record, it's a feature-length documentary about a world record attempt that my brother Stephen actually attempted to break the world record for the longest marathon playing mandolin. And so he had to play for over 26 hours to break that record. In the film, which I directed with Dan Johnson, who directed it with me as well, is following that journey up close and personal.
And I love that you really followed the journey from beginning to end. So now people watching this, I mean, that was definitely a determined goal. What are you hoping that the people will take away from this movie?
Yeah, so we really wanted people to feel like they were a part of the experience, like they were there with us. And so that was kind of a theme for us where, we wanted people to almost feel like watching this at home, that they were part of the crew, that they were a part of the team that was there in person as we went on this wild adventure and all these twists and turns to try and break this world record.
Well, I have to say, I felt like part of the journey and was really excited to see what would happen, but we can't reveal that just yet. So do you have any last words you'd like to say?
Yeah, we're just so excited. This was our first feature film, and the response that we've had so far has been, pretty amazing. So we just hope that people can watch it and have as much fun watching it as we had making it.
Well, I love that. I was at one point supposed to do a dance for a world record and never did it. So, but preparing for it and actually doing it is a different thing. So I want to congratulate you on a wonderful film, one I've never seen before, and to being here and chatting with me. And I am Diana DeRosa, reporting for the Tryon International Film Festival. Hi, I'm Diana DeRosa, and I'm speaking with Denver Hollingsworth, who lives in North Carolina and is the everything man of this film. He's the director, the producer, and the editor of the short documentary Jackson. I really enjoyed watching this film, Denver, but I don't want you to get into too much detail. I want you to talk about the concept of the film.
Yeah, the concept of the film, came about. One thing I'll give away, because I think it's really important here, is that I am actually the older brother of Jackson. So this is a very personal film for me. And so it really came about with trying to capture a specific time in his life. In this case, his 25th birthday, which is a huge milestone for anyone, but especially so for him, because he has a number of rare medical conditions. And I really wanted to capture who he was at this particular time in his life, and also how other people felt about him and other people's reactions to him. At the time I did this, actually, my wife was pregnant with my daughter, who's now 1, and I wanted to have her also have a snapshot of who her uncle was at that time in his life. I thought that was really important.
All right, so the people that will end up watching this film, what do you want them to take away from it?
I think a couple of things. I think the first thing is you'll see immediately when this film starts that Jackson looks a lot different than we do. He has a number of different conditions that kind of affect his appearance. And so I think it's important to kind of break down some of the barriers people have when approaching him, because people feel a little uncomfortable because he looks a lot different than how we look. And I really want to break down those barriers so they have a chance to get to know who he is. And you'll see in the documentary, he's a very funny, interesting, personable person who's a very happy person overall. And I think it's important for them to get to know people like that, regardless of the disability. The second thing is, he has a lot of rare conditions. He's been through so many things in his life. We touch on it in the documentary. But, one of the things that I think is really important and a lesson for him from his life is to be optimistic, to always look on the bright side and to have a spirit to get through those obstacles. I think that will resonate with people universally, but especially for people who are going through obstacles on their own journeys.
So very quickly, last words.
Jackson has a condition, one of the conditions he has is something called ichthyosis. It's a dry skin disorder. There is a great foundation called the Foundation for Ichthyosis and Related Skin Types, or the FIRST Foundation. I'd recommend people check that out to get an understanding of what that condition is and to help support people who also have that condition.
Well, thank you very much. I really enjoyed it. And I really want to thank the people who made this film because they did a wonderful job. And I'm Diana DeRosa, reporting for the Tryon International Film Festival. Hi, I am with Justin Myric.
Yes, ma'am.
With Visual Effects Workshop.
Yes, ma'am.
Here at the Tryon International
That's
Film
right.
Festival. What's that all about?
So pretty much, I'm going to be giving a full a VisFX kind of like breakdown for what visual effects is for the film and commercial, film and commercial community here, because I know there are a lot of filmmakers out there who want to get into visual effects, and it's such a crucial and critical part of the filmmaking and the commercial process, but they don't know what it is. And so I'm here to kind of educate those coming out to the Tryon Film Festival, and we'll just let them know what it is that a visual effects artist does, what it's like to talk to one, what it's like that they look for, and the types of projects that they want to be a part of. So that's really kind of what the workshop is about, and just really kind of pouring out and giving some of my expertise.
All right. So you're going to choose one thing that if they remember nothing else, they remember that one thing.
Ooh, one of the one things I would say to always be creative. Always be creative, because that's one of the things as a visual effects artist that you're constantly creating, you're constantly having ideas, visions, but one of the things about being a visual effects artist is you make that a reality. Someone comes to you and they say, hey, I've got this really crazy idea, and you're the person who is responsible for bringing that to life. And honestly, that's one of the best things about being a visual effects artist.
Well, I want to thank you very much for chatting with me. Do you have any last words?
Yes, I do. Come out and see me tomorrow, 3:30 p.m. Come see my workshop and also visit my website, Justin Myric Media, because now I was working out in LA doing all crazy stuff for Nike and Target and Marvel, AT&T and Indeed, and now I am back here in the upstate and I'm ready to work for the businesses and the people in the upstate. I can't wait for it.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
And I am Diana DeRosa with the Equus Television Network, reporting from the Tryon International Film Festival. Hi, I'm Diana DeRosa, and I'm speaking with Jamin Huber, who lives in South Carolina and is the filmmaker of the short dramatic film, The Last Oreo. It's really a fun film, very short, very easy to see, but I bet you there are a lot of us who can relate to that. So can you give an overview without revealing too much?
Hey there. Yes, first of all, thanks for having me. Yes, so it's a fun short film. It's about two siblings, which are my kids, doing something relatable, fighting over the last Oreo. So it's done in a entertaining, fictionalized way. It kind of came out to me out of the blue to do the film. It was a very, not a lot of complex sets or anything like that, not a lot of dialogue to memorize. So it was a pretty easy film to make. But we had a good time. I had my oldest daughter outside the frame with a blow dryer helping with the special effects. So so yeah, we had a good time.
Oh, okay. So obviously when people see this, they probably can relate to it. But do you have any takeaways you're hoping that they will have?
So, I mean, it's meant to be an entertaining, spoof ad, so to speak, for Oreo. But I guess the takeaway would be there's no winners in war. So that would be kind of the dramatized, comical way of illustrating that.
That was a good twist, and people will have to watch it to understand what that means.
Yes.
So I want to thank you for chatting with me. Do you have any last words?
I guess I would say take more content than you think you need. So it's always easier in the moment to take some extra footage and just not use it if you don't need it. So I guess that would be one thing I would mention as a tip at the end here.
I think that's a really good, interesting point, especially for filmmakers. I mean, there's so much about the film, but there's all these other things that you have to deal with. So thank you for that information.
Absolutely.
And I am Diana DeRosa reporting for the Tryon International Film Festival.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Diana DeRosa, and I'm speaking with Zachary Eccles, who lives in North Carolina and is the director of the short dramatic film Lovestruck. So, Zachary, great to hear from you today. I want you to give our viewers an overview of the film.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. So Lovestruck is how I've always described it, is a surrealist rom-com featured in a dying art form of a video store with two best friends, and a woman comes in who could be the love of his life or his worst nightmare.
All right. So I really loved the name after I saw the film. So I want to know how you came up with that name.
Yeah, well, to not give anything away, I think it is the perfect name for the film, just with you'll definitely have to watch it to see. Again, Lovestruck is a feeling that you have when you meet that right person in that right moment, and also a little bit more. You'll just have to watch the film to figure out why.
All right, that should entice them to want to watch this film, and it's not that long, so it's worth the watch. Okay, so do you have any last words you'd like to say?
Yeah, no. Again, I'm super ecstatic to be here. I've been a North Carolina filmmaker for almost 9 years now. And this is the first time that I've submitted to TRIFF and the first time that I've actually gotten in. Lots of exciting stuff on the way. We just finished our pilot. We just picture locked that we're working on, and very excited to be here. Very excited for you guys to see Lovestruck and what else is next for Trash Mouth Productions.
Wow, doing 9 years. I mean, you're pretty young for 9 years of film, so congratulations to you. And thanks again for joining me today. And I am Diana DeRosa reporting for the Tryon International Film Festival.
Bye. Take care.
Hi, I'm Diana DeRosa, and I'm speaking with Kyle Sear, who lives in Florida and is the writer and director of the romance drama Morendo. Cute, wonderful film. Wow, a little bit inventive in what you've done. So, can you start off by giving the audience an overview of your film?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me on, Diana. Morendo is about an older gentleman who is in the twilight years of his life, and he starts to reminisce about his past, about a former lover of his. So he decides to revisit his memories through music, and he does that with the help of a device that he's able to go back and relive those memories.
Yeah, I think that that's something we all wonder about as we get older. So that's really kind of cool what you did there. So, do you have any takeaways you'd like the viewers to bring from this film?
I think the biggest thing for me that I'd like viewers to take away is that, you know, people come and go in our lives, and whether they're here for a long time or a short period of time, um, they change us for the better. Sometimes, sure, maybe for the worse, but I hope people take away that just to have an appreciation for the memories and the experiences that we have, and to look back on the people that have come and gone and just remember them and appreciate that. Because, my opinion is that people shape us no matter how big or small they've been in our lives. And so I just hope that people just remember something about their life and look back on it fondly and just appreciate that.
I agree with you. People and moments shape us. So that was a wonderful idea. Well, now we are coming to the end of our little chat. Do you have any last words you'd like to say?
Last words. I like to say that, they say time travel is never real, but I think our past is tangible and we can get there by music. We all have a song or an artist that helps us get to a specific moment in our life. And I just say, enjoy music.
Wow. Time travel, music travel, whatever it takes to bring back those memories. I totally, totally agree with you. And I want to thank you very much for chatting with me. And I am Diana DeRosa, reporting for the Tryon International Film Festival. Hi, I'm Diana DeRosa, and I'm speaking to David Yin, who lives in China. He's talking to us all the way from China, and he was the director and producer of the best student film, Moral Combat. So, David, this is fairly targeted film, so I want you to talk about the concept of the film rather than give an overview of the film.
So basically, I tried to explore a new way of telling a story. I tried to distinguish reality and the inner moral combat by black and white and colorful styles of images. So it's really split into two quarters and two sections.
Well, great. Okay, so what did you take away from this film?
To be honest, I really learned the importance of finding the balance between the outer skin and the inner depth. Really meaning by showing the audience a plot that's easy to understand, but still leaving enough space for deeper analysis and interpretations.
I thought that was actually very clear that you did that, and it really made you think when you were doing it. Do you have any last words you'd like to say?
Not really, actually. I just wish that my audience could enjoy this film and really question about the definition of right or wrong.
When you think of right or wrong, what does that mean to you?
It really depends on perspective. In my opinion, there's no definition of what's correct and what's wrong, but like only depended on the situation and the way you really look at it.
All right. Well, I thought you did a wonderful job with this film, and I wish you a lot of luck. And it's great that you were accepted into the film festival. And I am Diana DeRosa, reporting for the Tryon International Film Festival.
That was it.
I'm Diana DeRosa. I'm speaking with David Weintraub, who lives in North Carolina and is the filmmaker of the documentary Nature's Wisdom Through Native Eyes. And I want to have those native eyes. Let me tell you, this is a fabulous film. So, David, give us an overview of the film.
Okay, well, my mom was a storyteller. And so I learned all these native stories. Well, not all of them, but many of them growing up. And what I loved was that native people were great observers of nature. They understood the importance of reciprocity. What we take, we have to give back. Having respect for the natural world comes back to us 1,000 times over. But when we take and never give back, it comes to haunt us all the days of our lives. So I started this project because I wanted to learn the value of stories, not as an escape from the world we live in, but as a way to be transported back to what we've lost in our busy workaday lives. It's a way to connect to our ancestors, connect to the world of many cultures, connect to the world of our common tapestry. And as we better understand and connect to the strands of that tapestry, we realize that we're all in this together.
We are. We're definitely in this together. You know, there are so many takeaways for this film, but what are you hoping is the most important takeaway that the people viewing it have?
Well, for me, when you truly understand the wisdom of our elders, what they were trying to teach us, when we live our lives in harmony with the natural world, when we grasp the intelligence of trees, of animals, of ourselves, then and only then can we begin to heal our broken relationship with Mother Earth. I used to think that our job was to save the planet, but in making this film, I now understand that until we heal ourselves and the lives we live disconnected with what's truly important, we can't begin to save anything. When we begin to heal ourselves and the world around us, the earth heals us.
I can't agree with you more. Do you have any last words you want to say?
I guess one of the things I learned most about in making this film was gratitude. Gratitude for the beauty of the living world, how it sustains our lives, the importance of reciprocity. When I take from the earth, I want to remember to, did I give back? Maybe by saying a prayer, maybe just by ensuring that I'm building soil when I'm planting and growing things. Because what nurtures me, I want to nurture back, and always to remember to say thank you.
Well, thank you for this wonderful film. And I am Diana DeRosa, reporting for the Tryon International Film Festival. I'm Diana DeRosa, and I'm speaking to Miko Y. Wazowski, who lives in the United Kingdom, London, and was the director of the short dramatic film None the Wiser. Very cool twist on words there, and a great film. So, Nickel Y, can you talk a little bit? Give us an overview of the film.
So it's a short film, I would say a dark comedy about three nuns who go on a quiz show for the clergy, and they decide to kind of bend the rules to get away with the prize money, which they're not really allowed to do. And then they figure out that the priest is trying to cheat them too. So everybody's kind of trying to cheat each other in the television house of God.
Yeah, very cool. All right, so you must have your own takeaway, but also, what are you hoping that people take away from this film?
I'm hoping that, I guess when everybody keeps saying that, everyone deserves to be a strong protagonist, everyone deserves to have, their personality reflected on screen. I think that what I hope they take away from this is that everybody deserves to be a little bit evil. So whether it's your protagonist or your supporting character, everybody's moral compass might be a little bit imperfect. And that's what I guess you'll get from the end of the film.
Wow, I love that. I love that takeaway. All right, so you do have any last words you want to say before we close this chat?
Yeah, just hope that everybody who enjoys seeing a little bit of greedy nuns comes to see the film, and I hope they enjoy it. And it was actually inspired sort of by a story of a California nuns embezzling 500 grand from their private school and blowing it all in Vegas. So I hope, I don't know, maybe it resonates with the US audience a little bit just because of that.
It's always good to know sort of the backstory, and that's a wonderful backstory. So I want to thank you again for chatting with me, and I am Diana DeRosa, reporting for the Tryon International Film Festival.
Thank you so much.
Hi, I'm Diana DeRosa, and I am with Robbie Robertson, who lives in South Carolina and is the writer and director of the short film Common as Red Hair. Well, I don't have red hair, but this film is definitely a good one. All right, so let's give our viewers an overview of the film, Robbie.
Sure. Thanks for having me. So basically, the film is a short film, and it deals with the aftermath of an emotional funeral where a grieving father and mother look back on the early life decision to have gender normalization surgery performed on their intersex infant. I was not aware of the exact meaning of intersex until I wrote this film. I had read an article in the Washington Post about a lawsuit here in South Carolina about a child that was born intersex and the adoptive family that was having a lawsuit about it. And it got me thinking about like what those parents must have gone through, because intersex children being intersex is something that you don't really hear a lot about. It's one of the letters in the whole LGBTQ acronym, but I don't think a lot of people are aware of it. And the screenings I've had so far had kind of spoken to that fact that people are like, I didn't know what this was, because a lot of people conflate intersex with trans issues, and they're really separate. Sometimes they overlap, but just on the definition and purpose of this film, it's just dealing with the characteristics and that this child was born with, and what the parents went through.
Okay, so I think this is an important issue for people to learn about, so I hope that they watch your film. But do you have any takeaways? We have a little bit of time left, so if you could give a quick takeaway, that would be great.
Sure. I think more than anything, the film, I want people to realize like that this is a choice. After dealing or working with the intersex community and advocates, I came away with a lot of knowledge, and this the same kind of knowledge I want to people to have after seeing the film is that let a child get old enough to make that decision on their own, because if you do gender normalization surgeries on an infant, there could be a lot of ramifications for the child, and it's been outlawed in a lot of other countries so far. So the United Nations actually speaks out against those kind of surgeries. So this is bringing it home to a suburban family to try to just let people understand it, hopefully a lot better.
Okay, Robbie, I want to thank you for chatting with me, and I am Diana DeRosa, reporting for the Tryon International Film Festival. I don't know if we made it.
I forgot to hit my.
Yeah, and it's hard.
It felt about.
See, they can cut out the beginning or something. If I've got 3:14, but I don't know. I think I may have pushed the start slightly before. So I think we're probably okay.
Okay.
All right. I had to kind of at that end kind of rush into my outro, but I think it's really an important film for people to see, because I was like, huh? What is this all about, and where are we going here? And then when I realized what the situation was, and one of the questions I did want to ask you that I didn't ask, but I'd be curious to know, why the title? Why did you decide on that name as the title?
So in doing my research I found a leading advocate of the intersex community, and that's a phrase that they use a lot to let people know how common it is. So it's the statistics of children that are actually born intersex aligns with the actual number of authentic redheads that are born.
Ah, okay.
And, yeah. So, and also it's funny. I actually had the original title was called Rare as Red Hair, and then we changed it because we didn't want we didn't want this issue to feel rare, or like we want to make it something that people can commonly talk about and learn about. So making it common made much more sense.
Yeah, it's sort of, in my mind, it's kind of conflicting, but yes, I think that's great that you put common as red hair, because in my mind, red hair isn't that common, but that's I think a mistake. I think red hair is very common. So it's kind of the same concept. It's more common than people realize. Red hair is more common than people realize, as is intersex. So
right.
Yeah. So that was a good title for it. But I want to
cool.
thank you for taking the time to chat with me today. And will you be there? Will you be at Tryon?
Yeah, I'll definitely be there. We've got a friend who has a house right in that community, so I'm really excited about coming up for the festival.
Yeah, great. I'll be there working with the Tryon International Film Festival, and also with the Equus Television Network. We'll be there streaming, doing quick tip interviews. I'm a professional photographer, so I'll be taking a lot of photos, and we will definitely, yeah, we'll be floating around. So definitely say hi so I can meet you in person.
I sure will. Absolutely. Well, it's nice meeting you. I look forward to meeting you in person.
Sounds good. All right. You enjoy the rest of your day.
Okay, you too. Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
I'm Diana DeRosa, and I'm speaking to Paul Bone Steele, who lives in Asheville, North Carolina, and is the filmmaker of the feature-length documentary Shadow of a Wheel. So, Paul, I want to thank you for joining me, and I would like you to share with our audience an overview of this film.
Well, it's a personal journey, along with 35 other people, that happened back in 1982. And one of the exciting parts of the film is that we do kind of travel back in time to 1982 and live through the teenagers that rode their bikes across the country for multiple sclerosis that summer. And it's a collage of VHS footage captured and then rediscovered 30 years later from that summer, and also personal photographs, memories, and conflict. There was a lot going on in this teen stew of that summer, and that and the music, I hope, creates an inspiring and exciting film for people to watch.
It's a very real film. I mean, it's actually what happens, and it's what normally happens in things like this. So it was a great film. Do you want the audience to have anything specific that they take away from this film?
Well, one of the main reasons this film was made and came back, in a sense, into my consciousness was that the lives that our teenagers are living these days, and it's so much in contrast to the lives that we were living in the early 80s. I wanted to, and the other writers on the trip in the film wanted to encourage parents and kids to just take some risks, not stupid risks, but do some bold things, because it had a huge impact on us as teenagers, this ride and this experience. And I think that comes through in the film, and I hope people see that and enjoy it.
I totally agree with you. It's a shame that it isn't still going on today, because something like that should be going on today. And I want to thank you for joining me. And I am Diana DeRosa, reporting for the Tryon International Film Festival. I'm speaking with Eric Morton, who is the director and producer of the short film Smitten Prelude. So, Eric, tell the audience what you think and what have you created with this film.
Well, with this piece, it started out as a short film for a company I was doing an internship with, but then it branched out and became this whole thing where I'm around a lot of teenagers, and a lot of times the term red flags and trying to know like what toxic really is brought up day to day on the college campus. And with this picture, I wanted to do a lot with body language and how that can lead to that type of avenue, because a lot of times dialogue can get misconstrued, and it'll be to a point where people don't even want to communicate themselves, but they can always communicate their body language, and that's something that doesn't bother.
Wow, that's very cool because that's true. That's exactly what you did. All right. So, what did you take away after you produced this film? What was your takeaway?
Really, for the most part, we shot it in one day. That was the big takeaway. It was just like, wow, it just felt kind of relieving to know what you wanted to do in your head and have it play out in the shots because I'm not too keen or too familiar with the terminology when it comes to being in a director position and knowing what shot is good shot. I just know what I like and what can really help the scene. But also learning the technical side of it. That way, because I was operating camera as well. Whenever I do have a cam op, I can correlate a relationship based on technical terms.
And I bet it took you a lot of thinking on how you were going to get this all across. Well, I want to thank you for chatting with me. Do you have any last words?
Go watch Smitten Prelude on YouTube. I appreciate you.
Absolutely. Well, congratulations for making it into the film festival. And I am Diana DeRosa reporting for the Tryon International Film Festival. Hi, I'm Diana DeRosa, and I'm speaking to Andy Kostelik, who lives in New Mexico and was both the writer and director of the short film, The Countryman. So, Andy, let's start off with you giving an overview of that film, that wonderful film.
You got it. The Countryman is a 22-minute short film filmed in black and white, and essentially, bitterness threatens to destroy a 1950s farming community until a stranger arrives with a curious proposition. And this film falls in the style and the trends of film and television in the 1950s, and I'd always wanted to do something that felt like it had been made during the time of the Hays Code. So, we pay homage to certain styles and we follow certain rules in that and almost make it seem kind of like a serialized story to where we could follow this character around, all within a short film. No proof of concept. It was just experimentation with those techniques. So, filmed in black and white, pay homage to the music of the time, the dialogue of the time, and the history of the time. And all in all, I think it was a fantastic experiment, and I'm having a lot of fun seeing how audiences are responding to that aesthetic.
I totally agree with you. So now people watching this, what do you hope they take away?
There's a lot of things packed into that film, but I think at the end of it, all that really comes down is I think in today's age, there's a lot of distancing going on from your neighbors and family, and I think just to remember to acknowledge and respect your fellow man or fellow woman is baseline for the film, really is.
Well, yeah, I agree that these days we really have to think in that direction.
Yeah.
So, do you have any last words you'd like to say before we end this conversation?
I'm very happy to be a part of the festival. I'm glad that this film made it in. It's the last short film that I was going to be doing before we're raising funding for a feature now. So I'm glad we got to go out on it. There were some things I'd always wanted to work with, breaking the fourth wall, a bigger cast, bigger crews, and I think that all kind of got implemented into this one. So I'm glad Countryman's getting started out right, and Tryon that part of the country is its own kind of audience, its own kind of taste. So I'm excited to see how it'll be received there.
Well, I totally agree with you because I loved the cinematography. I'm a little bit older, so that look really came and supported it. And I think the younger generation is also going to like it as well.
Good.
So I want to thank you again. And I am Diana DeRosa reporting for the Tryon International Film Festival.
Thanks, Diana.
Hi, I'm Diana DeRosa, and I'm speaking to Justin McGregor, who lives in Canada. And it's a little earlier for him than it is for me, but he was the director of the full-length feature film, The Found Effect. What a great film. Wow, you had a lot to do with that film, but I want you to give our audience an overview.
Well, The Founder Effect is a story about a boy who goes missing in a small town, the town of Hope, and the story of his grandfather who goes on a mission to find him, but also find himself in the process. And it's a redemption story at its heart. And it's in some ways about second chances in life. You
had to do an awful lot with that film. I have to believe that it was a long endeavor for you.
Yeah, it 2 years, I suppose, from sitting down to write it, and then I had many hats that I wore in the making of it, and in post-production. Again, that was probably the longest journey, but I took my time and tried to make this little film the best it could be.
Wow. Talk about a little film. This was really an effort. Well done. Well, if the audience looking at this were to look back at that film, what do you want them to take away, or what is it that you take away?
Well, I suppose with an aging protagonist as the lead who finds a way to correct something that had been tearing him apart for most of his life. I think that aspect of it's never too late to forgive, to seek redemption, or to look for a second chance and do the best that you can. In this case, the character has an extraordinary circumstance that allows him to do that. But I hope the takeaway would be that it's never too late, and that the town itself in the film, the town of Hope, really represents, exemplifies that in many ways.
I think that was perfect, actually, that you named the town Hope. So that really worked out well. Well, I want to thank you again for chatting with me. And I am Diana DeRosa, reporting for the Tryon International Film Festival. Hi, I'm Diana DeRosa, and I'm speaking to Sean Chisterna, who lives in Toronto, Canada, and was the director of the feature documentary, The Long Rider. Wow, it was a long ride, close to 2 years. But before we actually begin that, I thought your credentials were pretty impressive. So I'd like you to talk a little bit about you.
Me? Okay, well, I'm a filmmaker from Toronto, as you said. I made a couple movies for Netflix. One's called Kiss and Cry, and one is called Full Out. And then a couple years ago, I did a movie called From the Vine, starring Joe Pantoliano. He's the Emmy winner from The Sopranos, and I took him to Italy and we made a movie called From the Vine. Yeah, so it's been a wild ride.
Yeah, it certainly has. And now the wild ride is with The Long Rider. Why did you decide to do this film?
Well, I wanted to originally make a feature narrative film. So I had some funding to develop a script, and then developed a nice project based on Felipe's book, Long Ride Home. We were just about ready to make that movie come to life. And then the pandemic happened, and I couldn't take a crew across borders. And, that's what this movie warrants. So, when the pandemic happened and we all went into lockdown, Felipe said, well, I have all this footage that I shot on my journey. Maybe we could do something with it. And so that's how the documentary was born, just out of the fact that I love the story so much, and I had this wealth of material to work with. So we just pivoted and did a documentary that will help eventually support the narrative version that we do.
Great. And how much of it was totally filmed by Felipe, or did you do some of the filming?
We did the interviews and some recreation B-roll with the young boy who plays Felipe, just to help tell the story a bit more visually. But for the most part, it's Felipe's diary, basically. It was a one-person crew that traveled all the way from Canada, even farther, even from Alaska down to Ushuaia, Argentina. And he was the solo person responsible for capturing all his own material.
Totally amazing. Well, you did a wonderful job. Now, of course, it's a long trip to edit all this and put it all together. So what are some of your takeaways?
Oh, I loved going through the footage. There was about 500 hours of footage. So to be able to go on this journey with Felipe, but via my, safe and comfortable office here was I think a real treat. But I think there's a simple message in this film about taking that first step. You can't really embark upon a journey of 16,000 miles or 20,000 miles by sitting there. You have to undertake that first step, and I think it's a modern day Odyssey, kind of like the Greek myths of the past. But no one ever undertakes a journey like this with such fortitude, and I thought that was a powerful message to portray in this kind of dark time in our shared history.
You know, when you were viewing all of the, you know, the filming and whatever was there must have been some things that really stood out for you. And, you know, to this day you recall. Can you tell me anything there that that sort of, you know, still lingers with you?
Yeah, you know, I love the fact that Felipe leaves, you know, Canada on day one without anything on his back, sort of thing. He just, you know, the bare necessities that he needs to undertake this journey, and he leaves like you know, a penniless immigrant almost, but with the help of the good people, you know, of the United States and Latin America and South America, who want this, you know, young boy to make it back home to his family. I think that's a beautiful message. I think we all think that, you know, going on a journey like this might end in, you know, death or you know, severe hardship, but it goes to prove that, you know, people are good at their core and just want to help their fellow human.
Yeah, I really appreciated that part of the film where so many people along the way, even the ones that protected him, were there to help him. So I want to thank you very much, Sean, for talking with me. Do you have any last words you'd like to say?
No, like I said, I think this is a wonderful and inspiring film, and it's perfect for such a time where, you know, it's not easy to travel anymore, and we may have lost that human connection. So this is a film that celebrates those human connections.
Well, thanks again. And I'm Diana DeRosa reporting for the Tryon International Film Festival. Hi, I'm Diana DeRosa, and I'm speaking with Jack Bynum, who lives in South Carolina and is the director of the short film, The Session. Very interesting and intriguing film. Can you give our viewers a little overview of the film without revealing anything?
Sure. Thank you so much for having me. It's really a film about battling philosophies. Basically, there's a musician who's been coerced and kidnapped into a recording studio by a maniacal record producer to record a hit song, and she doesn't want to because she wants to fight. She wants to keep her artistic integrity, and it's a battle of the wits and the wills in that situation.
Without revealing anything, the ending is really interesting, but I don't want our viewers to know anything about that. But I do want you to talk about a takeaway, because I think that leads into a takeaway.
Yeah, I think the ending is meant to provoke conversation and leave you wanting to asking questions, you know, and to have a conversation with the people that you're experiencing with, because it is about artistry and it's about business and it's about things that us filmmakers have to deal with on a pretty regular basis, you know, and speaking to the people, you know, that are striking right now, the writers and the actors, it feels very much in line with the conversation that's happening in the culture. So I think it's meant to provoke conversation.
Well, I have to say, it's interesting that you talk about that, because I am a part-time actress, so I'm very familiar with the strike that's going on now and is getting so much coverage. I want to thank you very much for chatting with me. Do you have any last words you'd like to say?
No, I just wanted to say thank you very much to Tryon for including local filmmakers, you know, being from South Carolina, so close to the festival. It's really great to be included.
Well, I think this is cool film to be included in the bunch, because it's a little
Thank
bit
you.
different and really makes you think. So I'm
Yeah, that's what we were
Diana
going for.
and I'm Diana DeRosa reporting for the Tryon International Film Festival.
How did that feel?
Yeah, that was good. I'm Diana DeRosa, and I'm speaking with Daniel Klein, who lives in South Carolina and is the producer of the short dramatic film, The Video. Well, Daniel, let's start out by you talking a little bit about what you were trying to do with this film.
Yeah, so the video is it's an adaptation from a scene from a book. The book is called Authority. It's the second book in a trilogy. And the scene pretty much follows the new director of the Southern Reach organization as he watches a briefing video, and within a few minutes of footage, it becomes clear that something's very wrong with the mission at hand. So that's kind of the general overview. And we chose it because it provided a good writing challenge to write a script that was in the middle of a story that also the audience didn't feel completely lost. And also it was really accessible. Like the primary scene takes place in one room, and then the rest of it was just shot like in the woods portion. So it was very accessible to film. That's why we chose it.
Yeah, I know. Wow, it was really an eye opener. I loved it. What are you hoping that the viewers take away from it?
Excuse me. So the takeaway that we are hoping is not as much in the film as it is kind of around the film. We filmed this and created this whole project with literally no budget, no experience. This was like our first entry into this, and so like we've been wanting to do film for a while, and then we just decided just to go for it, and we jumped right in, and we just made the most of what we had. Like part of it was filmed with the cell phone, and the product, we couldn't be happier with it. It was amazing.
Wow, very good. Well, do you have any last words before we close this conversation?
Well, I would say if you're sitting here and you want to be a filmmaker and you've been like kind of on the edge, I'd say just go for it. Just I was literally in your seat last year watching these short films, wanting to do it myself, and I would say just go for it. You have the internet at your fingertips. You can research as much as you can, and just film with what you got.
Well, thank you, Daniel. I want to thank you for chatting with me. And I am Diana DeRosa, reporting for the Tryon International Film Festival.
Thank you.
The recording button, there it is. All right, good job.
Within time? I got 302.
Yes, I got it. Hi, I'm Diana DeRosa, and I'm speaking with Naomi Gutman-Bass, who lives in Israel and was the co-filmmaker of the documentary Unreined. Naomi, welcome. Can you give us a quick overview of that film? I know it's sort of a complicated film, but wow.
I will try. Thank you. Thank you for hosting me. Unreined reveals the amazing story of Nancy Zeitlin, who was originally American, came to Israel as a young girl and became a champion equestrian. Her professional life was horses, 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 but her personal life ranged over all the different sides of the Israeli-Palestinian conflict and all the religious sides as well. She was a secular Jew and married out of her faith, got divorced, became a single mother, married an ultra-Orthodox Jew, divorced again, and had a passionate romance with a Palestinian Muslim. She spent 10 years in the Palestinian territory, going back and forth with her two young sons, crossing the war-torn borders with Israel, and established the first Palestinian international equestrian team. When that era ended, she returned back to Israel and had to restart her career, her equestrian career, and began to study law. I chose to do this movie because of my own love for horses and my own search for ways to reduce conflict and promote tolerance. And hey, with a heroine like Nancy and her amazing true adventure story, who could resist?
I totally agree. It's really interesting to how you intertwined the whole Israeli, thing with the Palestinian and with the horses. Well, people watching this now, what do you want them to take away from it?
Well, since Unreined tells this inspiring story of Nancy Zeitlin against the background of the violent Israeli-Palestinian conflict and the secular religious issues that are tearing Israel apart today, she defied all the conventions but she was able to turn her enemies into friends. Her story shows that it's possible, in spite of the high fences. It's possible to learn to live together. Sometimes she cleared the fences, sometimes she crashed, but Nancy always returned to the saddle.
Wow. Clear the fences and crash. That's a great connection to this film. And I want to thank you again. And I am Diana DeRosa, reporting for the Equus Television Network at the Tryon International Film Festival. Hi, I'm Diana DeRosa, and I'm speaking with Jessica Scher, who lives in New York City and was the actor and producer of the short film Wicked Image. Jessica, welcome. I would like to kick this off if you could give an overview of your film.
Yes, well, thanks, Diana, for having me. This is about three women who are sick of the world thinking they're men: Lucifer, the devil, and Satan. And I play Satine, aka Satan, and we're going to take on the world. So we go to a PR firm to get our image fixed, and we found out that the PR firm is more evil than we are. So we take action.
You sure do. Great film. All right, so do you have a takeaway you want to share for this film?
Yeah, well, I definitely think that it's about being a better human, and it's really about balancing good and evil. Was the idea of taking the thought of women who are always thought of to be devil is really the man. Well, maybe not. Maybe it's actually women who are in charge. So it's about women empowerment, feminism, and most certainly laughing.
Yes, and a great ending there. I'm not going to share anything, but I want to thank you very much for chatting with me. Do you have any last words you'd like to say?
I just think, the most important thing is to go out and make your own work. And especially right now with everything that's happening with the strike and SAG and the world, it's really important to be able to be independent and make your own work and get your teams together so you can have fun and go to these amazing places and, meet other filmmakers. It is important. Filmmakers and artists and creatives, we are so needed right now in this world.
I totally agree. That was one of the things I kind of enjoyed about your film. It sort of was fun. Can you talk about that interaction between you and the other women?
Yeah, well, we have such good chemistry, and it was really about making a comedy with friends. And so we had this amazing chemistry of being very different actors, actresses, but on screen and on set, we just really got along so well, and our comedy just popped because we're all funny.
I could definitely take that away from the film. All right. Well, I want to thank you again. And I am Diana DeRosa reporting for the Tryon International Film Festival.